thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Tuesday, April 30th, and today is National Bubble Tea Day. Not boba tea, but bubble tea day, they say. It's also National Prepareathon Day, so make sure you prepare, you guys. It's also National Adopt a Shelter Pet Day and National Sarcoidosis Day. I probably murdered that name. Sarcoidosis. And it's also National Raisin Day. Shout out to the California raisins. And you'll love this. You'll love this one, Todd. It's also National Military Brats Day. Yeah, that's right. Yes, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above on your screen to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. But kicking it off first, it looks like Rico is going to be a little late today. So I guess we're going to roll off with the voice himself. That's right, Mr. Todd Denkin. He's the founder of Digipath Labs, and he has also created the Smuggleverse, where you can buy all of your digital dank, all of your NFT fanciness with all of those digital pot leaves dancing around. That's right, it is none other than Mr. Todd Denkin. There we go.
Stop. Applause. Just throw money. How's it going, everybody? High at 9 News audience and colleagues. Welcome to Tuesday. My story is very interesting in the psilocybin realm. It's from Marijuana Moments, and Ben Atlin wrote this. The Feds announced a plan to fund research on using psychedelics to treat chronic pain older adults. New federal funding opportunity from the National Institute of Health will use $8.4 million to support clinical trials on the safety and efficacy of psychedelic-assisted therapy, chronic pain in older adults. An NIH notice of funding opportunity posted on Wednesday says the research can include classic psychedelics, including psilocybin, DMT, LSD, and mescaline, as well as similar compounds such as MDMA. Cannabis and ketamine are not considered psychedelics for the purpose of these clinical trials. Funding notice says, quote, approximately 40% of older Americans report living with chronic pain, with treatment of pain later in life involving acetaminophen, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, opioids, and other drugs, along with behavioral therapy, physical activity, acupuncture, and electrical stimulation, being complex and often inadequate. A potential novel approach to treatment of chronic pain in adults involves psychedelic-assisted therapy. Continues,
Research with psychedelics was inspired by millennia of indigenous experiences incorporating sacred plant medicines in ceremonial healing practices. More recently, the notice says, evidence for the efficacy of PAT, which is psychedelic-assisted therapy, of course, has been particularly notable in depression, anxiety, especially existential distress, post-traumatic stress disorder, and substance use disorders, among other indications. The grant will be overseen by NIH component agencies, the National Institute on Aging, and the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. Will award up to $3.4 million per year in fiscal 2025 and 26, up to $5 million per year in fiscal 2027 through 2029. A broad range of eligible organizations include colleges and universities, nonprofits, for-profit businesses, state or local governments, federal agencies, and others, such as school districts or tribal organizations. New funding is aimed at supporting a clinical trials network involving multiple institutions, collecting safety and early efficacy data among older people with chronic pain. First phase will involve safety and efficacy study in older adults. The second phase will involve expanded safety and efficacy studies in older adults with chronic pain conditions. This funding structure is expected to lead to a higher level of collaboration, planning, and harmonization that would be possible through multiple individually funded grants. Federal agency notes that while previous studies of PAT have included limited numbers of older adults who have tolerated treatment well, without significant adverse effects, more focused safety and efficacy studies in older adults are needed. Applications for the new grant money can be submitted as of September 10th. The application window will close a month later on October 10th. The earliest start date for work is set for July 2025. Recently, a separate study published by the American Medical Association found that single-dose psilocybin was, quote, not associated with risk of paranoia, while other adverse effects, such as headaches, are generally tolerable and resolved within 48 hours. That study, published in JAMA Psychiatry earlier this month, involved a meta-analysis of double-blind clinical trials where psilocybin was used to treat anxiety and depression from 1966 up until last year. AMA published a separate study last month that similarly contradicted commonly held beliefs about the potential risks of psychedelic use, finding that the substances, quote, may be associated with lower rates of psychotic symptoms among adolescents, end quote. Also, a recent result of the clinical trial published by AMA in December suggests efficacy and safety of psilocybin-assisted psychotherapy for treatment of bipolar II disorder, a mental health condition often associated with debilitating and difficult-to-treat depressive episodes. The association also published research last August that found people with major depression experienced, quote, clinically significant sustained reduction, unquote, in their symptoms just one dose of psilocybin. Another recent study suggests that the use of full-spectrum psychedelic mushrooms extract has a more powerful effect than chemically synthesized psilocybin alone, which could have implications for psychedelic-assisted therapy. Findings imply that the experience of the entheogenic mushrooms may involve a so-called entourage effect, similar to what's observed with cannabis and its many components. I'm Todd Denkin with High at 9 News. I think this is great. Government finally using funds in a way that will actually help people. What a concept. What do you guys think about this psilocybin study approved by your government?
You know, I find it interesting, very interesting, Todd. And I'm very confused a little bit by it because I've never heard of psychedelics being used to treat pain. Yeah. I've heard of it to treat mental illness and a whole host of other wide variety of different things, but I've never heard it used as a pain medication.
No, I haven't either until this this study, but apparently lots of older adults, in fact, millions of them, 40% of older Americans report living with chronic pain, and anything that, and quite honestly, that's why they're the fastest growing cannabis consumers as well.
Yep.
Because of the pain buzz. But I think it's exciting that they're going to see if psilocybin does help with pain.
I mean, I just feel like if someone is saying that, and mind you, I'm not a doctor, so, but I just feel like
played one on TV.
I have, and yes, and in hotel rooms, yes, that's a fact. but here's the thing, though, Todd, is I just wonder if these people aren't necessarily losing any pain, they're just being detracted by all of the cool things that they're seeing and feeling from these psychedelics, that is just removing that thought or that focus of pain being there mentally, and it's more of a placebo effect.
That definitely could be, but it's not placebo effect. It's literally your brain is wired to tell you when you're in pain. So if you disrupt that connection, your body doesn't know that it's in pain, which is how like Advil works and things like that. I think this is good on a lot of other levels, because the majority of the elderly in America specifically are on a lot of opiates for pain in their later years, and that causes significant damage, actually. And I'm not going to get too like graphic here, but like the biggest problem with the elderly people in America is not that they're like in pain and they're on opiates. It's that the opioids create respiratory depression, which sometimes they just die in their sleep because they can't get enough oxygen. And two, it has to do with the constipation that comes with taking opioids, and there's a lot of blockage and backup, and that can actually create sepsis in the patients as their colons can rip and the waste goes like inside their body. I know it's pretty graphic. Sorry for that visual, but at the same time, that's a bigger problem for elderly patients in America than anything else, really. So there's a lot of new natural I don't want to call them narcotics, but they're narcotic-like. Mitragynine, kratom, as it's very commonly referred to. They're creating some pretty intense, more powerful effects from these natural drugs. They're creating a 7-hydroxy mitragynine. So just like how 11-hydroxy THC is more powerful in your body as it enzymatically converts, they're actually able to create the same synthetic effect of the enzymatic conversion and make the drug already inherently more powerful. So these things are cool. I think they're, the early reports seen on the mitragynine side is that it doesn't cause respiratory depression or constipation. So huge plus for a lot of people that are looking for some pain relief out there. Yeah, this is good.
Interesting. Dr. Delta Chemo says in the chat, he says it's similar to the use of gabapentin, which is an
gabapentin. As soon as Saman started talking about the booty and the number 2, I just knew I had to get in my 2 cents.
Oh, boy.
Which is, the thing that seniors should really be thinking about is tuning in every Monday through Friday, High at 9 News, for their daily constitutional, because we talk a lot of shit and we are the shit. So that can definitely help with those blockages that could be the result of opiate use as to mitigate pain. I just love that the government is funding medical research across the board. That could never be a bad use of funds. I am so hopeful that we will find the cure to cancer in the pituitary gland of some odd little salamander tucked away in some vernal pool. And without government funding for initiatives, we miss out on a lot of opportunities as a society. And so government funding research is a good example of the value of government.
And leave it to Yarrow, who usually has the opposite of constipation of the mouth.
Yeah. Would that be considered diarrhea?
DJ Diarrhea with the run.
You picking up what Yarrow's putting down?
I hope not. I don't work in the sanitation
department. What Saman said about sepsis is really, really important for those of you who are young enough not to know. In industrialized countries, if somebody gets sepsis, they pretty much have about a 75% chance of dying. Well, so we avoid that. We avoid a lot of bad things.
I know that all too well because last year I was in danger of sepsis.
Yeah, you had this. You had this from that third world pathogen that you got from somewhere.
Yeah, my liver almost exploded.
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Rico has suffered from this.
I had a bit of a scare with that as well.
Don't drink the homebrew.
Doctor told me if I didn't get to the ER, or if I had arrived at the ER an hour later, my liver would have ruptured, would have had sepsis, and I would have been dead.
Yeah. Well, we're very glad that you're still here, Rico.
Very glad.
Yes.
I had a scare with
Yeah,
that
but
too.
then I would have been on 5 days a week instead of just 2.
Oh boy. Oh, you see what he did there?
Hey, you started it with the diarrhea gap.
Yeah.
No, but just so
before I take a trip.
But all jokes aside, I mean, yeah, like I think the bigger problem is, when these problems get exacerbated in a populace that is, in the hospitals, in the doctor's office continuously, that creates a big kind of immediate need for like serious critical life care for these patients instead of just something like treating their knee pain or their lower back pain. So definitely opioids, as we know as cannabis users and proponents of plant medicine, look, opioids most of the time come from plants too, but they're highly refined and purified and synthesized into other drugs. I think there's just a baseline that we want a more healthy option for some of these things. I think the mitragynine is great. I'd love to see more things that come out of this. And I'm really encouraged by this study to hear how psilocybin even can affect pain receptors in a lot of these patients. So I think this is great. And hopefully there's going to be more alternatives to opioids as time goes on.
Agreed, not to mention the addiction problem with opioids as well.
Yeah.
And everything that does to your body as well.
Exactly. And on that, we got to roll to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
Oh man, that was weird. Hey, you America. Do I look like Sean Connery? Good morning, America. Saman Razani coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles, California with the one and only highest host, Mr. Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast? You can find it on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. No excuses in 2024. If you haven't checked us out, check it out now. And also, check out what the Prophet's doing in 2024.
We're back, Rico.
Up next, it's the highest Republican in every single room, known for smoking the best weed in the world, and he's also a expert in all things medical science when he's on TV. Jason Beck. Yeah, for us today, my man.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I have some positive news.
Very slow audience today.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll let them do their thing. I have some really positive news today for you guys. I think you guys will find this interesting. Don't worry, Todd. I have some negative news too, and I'm saving that for the end of the show. We're going to start off with the positive news first. Yeah. But there's a worker who was fired for a positive cannabis test wins another court ruling, you guys. See, you thought I was going to start off negative, but I went positive. A state Supreme Court justice has upheld the jury verdict that awarded more than $191,000 to a wastewater treatment worker who was fired by the city of Amsterdam 4 years ago after testing positive for cannabis that had been prescribed to him for chronic back pain. The city of Amsterdam had waged a fierce post-verdict legal battle seeking to overturn or reduce the jury's verdict. But the decision issued by the state Supreme Court Justice Rebecca A. Slezak also ordered the city to reinstate Thomas Appholtz to his wastewater treatment job, as well as pay an additional $149,107 for his legal fees, including any other amount of attorney fees that the court may deem reasonable after Appholtz's counsel submits on an affidavit. The outcome stands as the first trial verdict in New York in which an employer was found to have violated state human rights laws that deem someone with a medical marijuana prescription as having a disability and makes them part of a protected class. The Compassionate Care Act, allowing medical prescriptions of marijuana, was signed into law back in July of 2014 and took effect January of 2016, and marijuana laws legalized for adult use back in 2021. The city's legal team had sought to scuttle the jury's verdict and legal proceedings on multiple fronts, including whether Appholtz, 44, had disclosed all of his outside income after being fired, and the judge found that roughly $200 in tips that Appholtz was paid while bartending as a volunteer at a private Catholic club between 2020 and last year did not amount to fraud. Appholtz, who is 44, was fired by Mayor Michael Cinquinati after he tested positive for marijuana back in February of 2020 during a random drug screening. Appholtz was fired under the provisions of a last chance agreement that had been provided to him by the city when he also tested positive for marijuana back in 2017. The agreement had noted that any additional violations of the city's drug policies could result in his immediate termination. But a year before his second positive test, Appholtz had been prescribed marijuana for the treatment of back pain. That prescription was in effect at the time he tested positive, and according to court records, Appholtz notified city officials that he was a certified patient in the state's medical marijuana program and had a valid Department of Health certification for a medical marijuana prescription. In quotes, the city's decisions have already cost and will continue to cost taxpayers substantial and often unnecessary amounts of money, said Kevin A. Lubedard, Appholtz attorney. What business is in it for the city to say what medicine a doctor can prescribe for an employee off duty? The city should get out of Mr. Appholtz's private doctor-patient decisions and let him just do the job which he excelled in. The jury's verdict last year left the option for Appholtz to file for reinstatement for his job as well as to seek compensation for his legal fees. In both outcomes, he won. The Compassionate Care Act recognized what lawmakers said were positive medical benefits of marijuana components and initially authorized certain doctors to prescribe its use for serious medical conditions. The law has since been adjusted to allow doctors to prescribe marijuana for any reason, including anxiety and insomnia. And Lubedard said that Appholtz took the marijuana prescription in capsule form on non-work days. He never used it at work and only in the evening at home when his pain was at its worst. He said the jury found the city officials had refused to provide him an accommodation for his medical condition even after he informed them of his valid medical marijuana prescription. And 2 years ago, the State Office of Cannabis Management launched a medical cannabis certification system that expanded patient access to the plant by leaving its uses up to healthcare practitioners. But the use of marijuana to treat medical conditions has not been without its critics. A coalition of anti-cannabis interests filed a lawsuit last year in the state Supreme Court in Albany seeking to overturn New York's legalization of marijuana, comparing the industry to tobacco companies that made fraudulent claims about their products. The group cited information that they contended shows that marijuana consumption is harmful and that claims made about its medical benefits are unfounded and dangerous. In quotes, false advertising may mislead vulnerable patients to and the public, the complaint states. Medical use may inadvertently result in addiction, increased risk of psychosis, mental or psychological impairment, lung damage when smoked, and complications for unborn children when used during pregnancy. The presence of medical marijuana dispensaries may increase access to adult use marijuana for minors, and they also say that marijuana remains a Schedule I controlled substance under federal law, a list that now includes bath salts, heroin, ecstasy, and acid. And the Food FDA also promulgates rules that note marijuana has a high potential for abuse and that its use as a dietary supplement has not been approved. Many of these products being sold in retail medical marijuana outlets in New York and other states are edibles that contain THC and CBD, and the lawsuit also cites information it says indicates the claims about the medical benefits of THC and CBD have not been subjugated to studies that satisfy the FDA standards for determining safety and effectiveness, you guys. Well, I will say this. This is a story we covered a many long time ago, and I want to say congratulations to this gentleman on fighting the good fight and ultimately coming out with a victory. I know it was pretty tough, and I'm sure it was, but nonetheless, good job, sir, and thank you for what you've done for the people. And this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all have to say about this?
I think it's great. CBD is not THC. It's just that simple. And for him to have to go through that is utterly ridiculous. And I don't know if you heard, but the Supreme Court also agreed to hear a case about a former commercial truck driver who was fired after he failed a drug test for marijuana. He bought that CBD-rich stuff from medical marijuana.
I will report on that story soon, Todd. And there's some interesting,
there you go.
Very interesting factoids in that story.
Yeah. If you saw in the comments, I was like, "Yo, is Saman's story the same as Jay?" Like,
right?
Nah,
I mean, look, I'm surprised it hasn't happened more. To be honest, I'm surprised. Sorry.
Well, it looks like given our choice of headlines today, like it looks like these are more and more going to be prevalent. And if they want to ease up on these, looks like the DEA got to make a choice.
I mean, I do like factoids with my cannabinoids. So that's always a good combination. I was a little worried. I think the name of the judge in this article was Sleaze something. If your last name is Sleaze something, I think you either get a branding refresh or you don't go into a position of prominence. The challenge I have is just the use of taxpayer funds, because ultimately the taxpayer pays for the government's failed efforts to not accommodate the act that was passed in 2016 or what have you there. I was saddened when I thought about the fact that it was passed in 2016 there and 1996 in California. I'm like, how does it take 30 years for thoughtful regulations to promulgate it across the country? The problem with this is just cost benefit. It's going to always be easier for government to try to preemptively figure out solution to accommodate these HR issues than it is to get a burr under their saddle and get the snot beaten out of them and then have to pay $149K in legal.
Yeah. No, I feel
it's like the doctors scraping out the poo.
It's like a lot of states, including here in Nevada, that they don't even test for cannabis for jobs anymore because it's a legal state, both medically and recreationally, and it took that off the drug testing test. So they don't even test for it. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I feel you. All right, well, we're going to keep this train rolling, and we're going to roll right on into the dope dad himself, who had a little late start today, but it's okay because he had a bad hair day, because that's how you can tell, because he's wearing a ball cap. That's right. It is the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Oh, yeah, Jason. Well,
yes.
You know what, man? Like, you got to put a cap on your balls.
Oh, boy. No.
Oh, my God. Stop it. That's a sun-sanctioned yarmulke.
Well, man, I got some special news for everybody today.
Oh, I bet. And I bet Chris Brady is going to be very, very.
Because the special news, it is. I mean, all of our stories are pretty much related today, which is weird, but it's a must need. So it's been 8 full months. 8 full months have passed since the United States Health and Human Services issued its historic recommendation to the DEA that cannabis be reclassified from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 under the Controlled Substances Act. That's 243 days of cannabis advocates and activists arguing over the merits of reclassification versus declassification, over who and what stands to benefit most. And the most juicy of all speculative debate topics, when the hammer will actually drop, sparking legislative action on said issues. Those of you tuned into High at 9 News over that stretch of time have probably noticed how numb we have all become to the conversation. And for all information, as we've consumed at this point, it's hard to see any new comments as anything more than lip service from pandering politicians or petty points scored by pro-pot pundits with inside information just to keep their names in the conversation for when action finally does take place. But the one side of the debate notably missing thus far is that of the haters. I mean, other than the same old tired save the children bullshit, backed by zero data or scientific evidence, Kevin Sabet and Project Sam have not had much to say when they think the inevitable will occur. But today's a new day. And according to Marijuana Moment's Kyle Yeager, officials with the nation's top marijuana prohibitionist advocacy group are saying that they are hearing the DEA's cannabis scheduling review will be announced, quote unquote, very soon. And possibly as soon as today or tomorrow.
Oh boy.
We're running out of fucking shit to say.
Yeah.
All right. So per the article, now leaders of the organization, Smart Approaches to Marijuana, or Project SAM, say that they're seeing indications that the DEA's review is complete and will be revealed imminently. SAM President Kevin Sabet had this to say during an interview on the organization's The Drug Report podcast on Monday. I hope you all are subscribers to their bullshit podcast. Here's what they said. We're hearing a lot of chatter, and as we're having this podcast, I'm hearing from some sources that pro-marijuana Democratic senators are saying it's very soon, as in today or tomorrow. So it could be wishful thinking or not. I don't know. So again, we will see. We're hearing that it's going to come soon and very well could happen this week. But it also could happen in 3 weeks. It could happen in 3 months. We don't know. Right? Just talking to talk. But Yeager said that the SAM executive also reiterated his skepticism about the revised FDA drug scheduling review process, a talking point that's also been picked up by certain GOP lawmakers. One thing I have to say, obviously, sort of a glass half full, glass half empty way to look at this. Obviously, I don't like it, rescheduling this whole thing, for many reasons, and we completely oppose it. But the glass half full, if you're going to look at it that way, and I always think you've got to sometimes look at it that way, even if it's overall not good, you don't want it. You want it a full glass of water. But if you have a half and you look at it that way, the goalposts have changed. What the fuck is this dude saying?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of sounds like Jason Beck sometimes. I gotta say,
You guys are funny.
It's that time to fill.
Oh,
right. Sabet said earlier in the interview that Sam has some pretty decent intel that the scheduling review is moving through the process, and there's no doubt about it. He pointed out that past scheduling petitions have taken years to complete, only to have the government deny the asks to reclassify marijuana under the CSA. In this case, however, the scheduling review was directed by President Joe Biden. A DEA official also recently said that it sometimes takes up to 6 months for the agency to complete its analysis of health officials' recommendations, which is now less than how long it has been since the agency began its current cannabis assessment. Well, obviously, Kevin Sabet and them are running out of conversational topics now that everything they've ridden hard for over the years, minus penis, has either been debunked or proven unpopular by consensus. While I personally don't care about much Sabet or his followers have to say on any topic at any given moment, it is notable that even the haters are expecting an official ruling sometime in the near future. Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News. What do you guys think, man? Like the prohibitionists are even calling for this thing to drop any day now, even though they have no idea what they're talking about.
Right. The funniest thing is they put no date on it. They just say real soon now. Could be a day, could be a month, could be a year, could be 5 years.
So literally,
I used to work with a technology company, and whenever you talk to the coders, right, you say, hey, when are you going to be done? And their answer was always, real soon now.
It's like in Jamaica. Anybody? As my absolutely nuts because she's Jamaican. We go out there and we hit her family up. Hey, when you guys gonna pick us up? Soon come. 5 months later, 5 hours later. Soon come. They might show up before dark, and we hit them up at like 10 a.m. It sounds like some Jamaican shit. So shout out to Kevin Sabet, representing live from Jamaica, where soon come attitude has come into fruition. Project Sam.
I think all the Jamaicans would say this is bomba clad.
Oh,
this is
real talk, man. This is all
to me this is
talk.
just gaslighting everybody. Like, hey, we're gonna have it today or tomorrow, or none of these people know when this thing is gonna come out. And not to mention, hold on. Well, not to mention too, safe banking hasn't gone through, and cannabis isn't getting rescheduled until safe banking goes through, and so that's the two-step tango. So you got to watch for that first before you're going to even expect to see any type of rescheduling news.
Well, I mean, this has a lot to do with what we talked about on the show yesterday. I was watching the show a little bit, talking about MedMen. I mean, look, Chapter 11 versus Chapter 7 bankruptcy, it'd be great.
That's only because they're a Canadian company, though.
But at the same time, it's like our industry is going up in flames because of the restrictions. Literally, there's billions of dollars in like ARs that are outstanding around the whole entire country. So it's like we obviously need a huge reformation on at bare minimum banking. But of course, this is bureaucracy. They're gonna pack it all in with a bunch of other shit into a shit sausage with like a little bit of like, you know, good stuff in there, and then we're gonna have to be forced to, you know, eat that too.
You know, so Saman, we covered that MedMen story yesterday, and that's
what he said. Jason, I got a question for you. Why do you think that the passage of safe banking is a prerequisite for descheduling or rescheduling?
Because that's what I've been told by all of my people out in D.C. that's the cadence of what is going to happen in regards to how everything happens.
Yeah, and so got to get in there first and fuck it up.
Well, I mean, I think DC is like weathermen and weather people and economists. They can get paid to continue to be incorrect.
There are a lot of those people that are like that. I do agree with you in your analysis of that, Yarrow. However, I'm talking to that 1% of people that actually know what the hell is going on.
Hey, Jason, would you say that your sources are the same as Kevin Sabet's?
No, my sources are real sources. His sources are just made up sources to whatever narrative he wants to perpetuate.
Just give him your sources.
I'm no legal scholar and I've never written a law, but it just seems like if something was descheduled or rescheduled, it might eliminate the need for safe banking to be passed. And I've ranted and riffed about how safe banking doesn't need to be passed in order for things to be done with the executive branch in regards to the reporting requirements from financial institutions. So I just had never heard that two-step was the prereq.
Yeah, no, that is a prereq, and because what I've said in the past, and I think you were on the day that I said this, I was saying that basically one of the trade-offs is that safe banking is going to get put into the cryptocurrency bill. And because all of the Republican crypto bros want to invest their crypto cash into cannabis businesses, and that's going to be the next
whatever happened to the days where Republicans hated all the pork? They hated all the pork. Hate like loading up bills with other stuff that doesn't have anything to do with those bills. Like whatever happened to those days?
Yeah, now they're the barons of the barrels, you know, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well,
no, Rico. Republicans have never hated pork. All politicians' job is to bring back the bag to their constituents. So whether it's rebuilding a bridge or getting a new semiconductor manufacturing facility, all politicians, blue, red, purple, doesn't matter what flag or what party they affiliate with. Their job is to bring projects and economic revitalization back to their constituents, and I'm not mad at that.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
Yeah.
The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And With the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated. All right, everybody, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button. I know you'll appreciate it. We'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's news show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And last but not least, we do want to send a special thank you to all of you subscribers out there. We did hit the 3,000 subscriber mark on yesterday, and so we want to give much love to everybody. And please encourage all of you guys out there that are subscribers, please help us get at least one additional subscriber that's one of your friends, and then all of a sudden we'll have 6,000 subscribers. So thank you. I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla, and if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get a stretch and smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
Hi, I'm Smoky Vanilla. I have my bachelor's degree in kinesiology, and I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on individuals that are in sport with chronic pain or injury. I love to intuitively create and customize a session based on the individual that I'm working with. We'll go over a few postural assessments, work together to create a wellness journey based on the health history, past injuries, or anything still affecting you today. And we'll get you back on your feet right away with less pain.
We're about to stretch, and then we're gonna smoke, because we're gonna get on our stretch and smoke. If you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to come on down and get a stretch and smoke with none other than Smoky Vanilla. So if you want to get in stretch and smoke in, you can come on down today.
Well, tell Smoky Vanilla that Cloudy Chocolate is over here, and he's gonna give him a run for his money.
It's cute.
Because while he stretches motherfuckers out, I crumple them up and throw them in the trash. Jason Beck.
Oh, he's bringing his TRX over too today. We're about to get it.
Oh,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Good job, Jason. Good job, Jason.
Yeah, great job, Jason.
Yeah, there we go.
Working out something other than them lungs. I like it.
That's my cardio workout.
Yeah. So up next, we got a fellow dope dad and 15-year industry vet who's also an award-winning solvent extraction pioneer. He's currently focused on helping menopausal women. That's women that have paused on men. Focus on saying hello and hi again. Saman Razani. Yeah.
Thank you. Happy Tuesday, everybody. End of the month, April 30th. As we get into the month of the Tauruses, we have a bullish outlook on the cannabis industry. Hopefully, some reprieve coming soon. I've got an interesting story for you guys today. We talked a little bit about it. Todd brought it up. Just a lot of interesting legal shenanigans, and I don't know what the future has in store. But without further ado, all right. Sorry about that. Trucker failed drug test after taking CBD supplement. Supreme Court to decide if he can sue. This is coming to you from USA Today. After an accident left truck driver Douglas Horn with chronic pain, he wondered if a supplement advertised as new CBD-rich medicine would help. The company promised a hemp-based product, Dixie X, did not contain THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. But after Horn failed a drug test and lost his job, he sued, using in part a federal law created to fight organized crime. On Monday, the Supreme Court said it would decide if Horn can continue his suit. The justices agreed to hear an appeal from Medical Marijuana, Inc., asking for a review of a lower court ruling that Horn could sue under the Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organizations Act, which is also, Rico, your name. So, but those of you that don't know what RICO charges and RICO Act, just do some research. You'll see what it is. Prosecutors can use RICO to go after mobsters and others, but civil suits are also allowed, even if no one has been charged with a crime. If successful, the litigant can get 3 times the amount of actual damages and attorney's fees. The law allows suit by anyone injured in his business or property as a result of racketeering activity. Horn alleges that Medical Marijuana Inc. committed mail and wire fraud, causing him to lose his job. After seeing advertisements for Dixie X, Horn said he watched a video in which a company official said its products didn't contain THC. The same claim was made on the website and by a customer service representative, Horn said. But a few weeks after he started taking Dixie X in 2012, Horn tested positive for THC. Shocked, oh, excuse me. Oh, shit. Excuse me one sec, guys. I just lost the story. So.
Oh, how do you do this, Saman?
I don't know.
Hey, Jason, is it or Saman? It's right underneath. It's right underneath the mushroom on your left.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's underneath the mushroom stock on your left. You see it? Push that button. There you go.
Sorry about that, guys. Shocked, Horn said he sent Dixie X to a lab, which confirmed it contained THC. In 2015, Horn sued for lost earnings using both RICO and New York state laws. A district judge said RICO excludes personal injury claims. When Horn appealed, the New York-based Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sided with him. The court said the plain meaning of the word business allows Horn to sue. Because the term business encompasses employment, Horn has suffered an injury in his business and contemplated by the RICO statute. Circuit Judge Gerald Lynch wrote for the 3-judge panel. Horn's termination cost him current and future wages and his insurance and pension benefits, all of which were tied to his employment. That's the story. My apologies about that, Fubar, but this is really interesting. Huge implications here. First and foremost, that cannabis companies, well, let me back that up. CBD companies, hemp companies that are selling products that have over the allowable limit of THC in them could be considered RICO, or it could be considered criminal organizations that would be actually penalized under the RICO statute. So that's interesting fact number 1. Interesting fact number 2 is that this is not a victimless crime for someone to lose their job. And we're seeing this, that it's allowed for the plaintiffs to come after companies under these civil statutes under RICO to get compensation for lost wages and other things as well that are going to be tied to that. So I think this is a fascinating story. I think that I've never even heard of this happening, a civil suit being brought under RICO statutes. So I'd love to hear if there's any legal experts in our chat or anybody that has a little color to shed here. Please, join in, tap in with us and let us know. But guys, what do you think about this crazy story?
I'm not surprised.
What kind of CBD was it?
It was CBD with obviously too much THC.
What was this a Dixie Elixirs product?
It's Dixie X is the name of the product. It's not Dixie Elixir. So
it was
but it's the same people.
Marijuana, yeah, Medical Marijuana Inc. is the name of the organization, and their product's called Dixie X.
That's the guys that had the little penny stock that they were trying to get rich with.
That is correct.
Well,
yeah.
Well, they're obviously about to shell out a lot of cash to this guy if they lose this case. So I mean, but isn't it funny that RICO has some jurisdiction here to be brought under?
Of course it does. Of course it does, bro. It's a Schedule 1 drug. Of course RICO has jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
I mean, but also cannabis is also legal in the state of New York.
Doesn't matter, bro. Doesn't matter, bro. Federal RICO case. Don't matter. Don't matter. So federal trumps.
It's quite old.
Yeah, and all cannabis legislation is state specific. So.
Yep. Exactly.
I think it's interesting that the Supreme Court is going to hear this case. right? I mean,
I can imagine they would.
Judge a state-related situation.
Mm-hmm.
Who's counting? Who is counting the dollars that are being wasted? Our tax dollars that are being wasted on these court cases.
Nobody.
Right. In the meantime, I mean, these are our tax dollars that are going to argue these cases, right? If it's going to the Supreme Court, if it's going to all these federal courts and everything, they need to tally that shit up and just be like, yo, we're operating at a loss, and it'll be cheaper to actually iron out legislation. At this point, it's just going to be cheaper because you're going to see more and more of these court cases just gumming up the system. And if they care about other things.
So here's what comes up for me. I don't understand why this guy sued under RICO
for cannabis consumers across.
Here's what I don't understand. I don't understand why this guy sued under RICO when he could have sued under the manufacturer's product liability insurance claim. Insurance companies have deep pockets, and if it was indicated that it was devoid of THC and it had detectable levels of THC beyond the tolerances of, say, the Farm Bill, I don't understand why you didn't just insure under sort of a simple product liability. I think it might be that RICO is easier to ensnare more people, but you still have to show that there was a conspiracy.
Insurance companies don't pay shit, Yarrow. They'll find a way to get out of that paying that. I mean,
insurance companies are the deep pockets in every case.
American servicemen, for stuff that happens to them in uniform. There's no insurance company that's going to say, oh yeah, we'll cover something so ridiculous that.
All right, let me spit a little bit of insurance game.
I hope we clip that video of Yarrow just a second ago in his car going.
Listen, let me spit a little insurance game. I love disagreeing with you, Samani, and allow me to do it again, Samani, because here's the deal. Insurance companies are always the deep pockets in a case. We just mentioned that this was probably some little piece of poo penny stock, which means that they don't have the deep pockets. Nope, insurance companies, yes, they have the ability to pay for unlimited legal. Yes, their job is to limit the amount they pay on cases, but they don't want to get hit with their own treble damages for a bad faith case where they're not covering their client. So I just couldn't disagree with you more. And my question is, out loud, is why would they not just go after the insurance company? Why would they do the RICO? RICO does potentially give them treble damages again, but if they can't collect from the company, they haven't attached their lawsuit to deep pockets, and that I don't understand the strategy of that.
So Yarrow,
the problem is,
couldn't they go after that after the RICO?
I mean,
insurance companies would rather pay their lawyers than pay a settlement. That's the problem with insurance companies, right? They tie it up in court for months and months and years. Nothing ever gets done.
They play the risk.
The feds involved is
their entire industry is built. Mm-hmm. Yeah, their entire industry is built off of risk and leverage, and they know that your broke ass cannot outlast that.
That's right.
So they will smash you if you try.
Their business model is don't pay.
Do some kind of class.
Right.
Yeah, unless it's a class action lawsuit, then good luck.
Right.
Look, I don't think that what you guys are saying is incorrect. I can only tell you from personal experience that I beat the dog shit out of my dad's homeowner's insurance. And for every dollar I paid out in legal, I recovered $4 to $5 in settlement. And was it stressful? Did it give me a little bit of gray hair? Yeah, but it was absolutely worth it and effective.
And then they drop you and you have no insurance anymore, right?
Here's the thing, dude. If you're a product liability,
Yarrow put somebody.
Hold on, I want to hear what Saman said.
Dad in their home insurance.
If your product liability insurance insures your hemp product, it's saying that you're not putting out product that's illegal. Okay, and so once they find out that your shit has THC in it, your insurance policy is null. They're dropping you faster than third period Spanish, and then you have to fight still without insurance. So it's like there couldn't be an instance where that would even work because there's no way to bleed a turnip, right? There's no money from that company.
You know what?
There's no insurance money for that person to go after, and there's no incentive for the lawyers to go after that case because there's no insurance money. So now you have an ambulance chaser fighting your case at best.
And we're gonna go to a commercial. We're gonna be right back. But I think I'm with Saman on that last point. That makes a lot of sense. Get ready for the return of the shit show to Los Angeles, returning Friday, May 3rd, 7 p.m. to midnight at a brand new venue. Comedy sets by comedians such as Demi York, Lindsay Ames, Alyssa Phillips, Chris Thayer, Josh Shakespeare, Fumi Avi, Jay Snow, Brent Weinbach, Chris Kelly, and hosted by none other than Abdullah Saeed. So head over to www.cloudmedia.partners now to get your tickets, and we'll see you there. Yeah, Adam, you can make the transition. You guys,
we're all about transitioning.
Yeah. I got I have one story with some good news, and I have one story with some bad news. Which one do you want first, Rico?
Give me the bad news.
You really want the bad news first?
Give us the bad news first.
All right, Adam. Yeah. Adam, I need you to cue up the video. Adam, cue up the video.
Just give me a second.
Okay. There's a. I'm gonna just go and start reading into the story, and Adam can get this video queued up. Son of a bitch. Here you are. See what, and this is for you, Rico. See what a Virginia Beach jury saw. Video shows what happened to convicted driver of manslaughter in DWI marijuana case, you guys. Ooh. It was a crucial piece of evidence in what could be a landmark DWI manslaughter case involving marijuana. Because no presumptive standards exist for marijuana impairment, the jury in the case of Nathan Poole, 26, had to rely on video captured shortly after he ran over 2 women with his pickup truck. And now 10 on Your Side has the surveillance and police body cam video that was shown to the jury. The fourth Monday of August 22nd was a happy afternoon for Rosa and Concepcion Blanco until about 4 p.m. The cousins were celebrating Rosa's recent birthday at a Tulupo Honey restaurant in Town Center, and people had just picked up a dress for his girlfriend at David's Bridal. The 2 women had just left the corner restaurant and were on the curb preparing to cross Constitution Drive. Several vehicles passed, making the left from Main Street, and they entered the crosswalk. Poole's Chevy Silverado pickup struck both of them with his grill, running them over completely. And Rosa Blanco, 76, was killed instantly, and Concepcion Blanco, 79, had life-threatening injuries and spent the next 5 weeks in Centra Norfolk General. In a quote, "The light had just turned green," Poole told an officer. "I looked at them, I nodded, I looked down the GPS for a half a second." Poole told another officer who specializes in DWI arrests that he smokes marijuana, and she began giving him enhanced field sobriety tests designed to look for indicators of marijuana use. That officer testified during the trial that she has made more than 500 DWI arrests, and Poole did well on some of the tests, but failed others, including heel to toe, standing on one leg, and touching the tip of his nose. At trial, a toxicologist testified that Poole's blood had high levels of THC, the psychoactive substance in marijuana, and the THC and other compounds would have significant adverse effect on attention, judgment, and reaction time. But that expert doctor couldn't give an opinion on whether she thought Poole was too high to drive, because unlike the blood alcohol threshold of 0.08, there is no equivalent standard for blood marijuana. That was up to the jury to decide, and Poole was in fact impaired, convicting him of a DWI manslaughter and a DWI causing serious permanent injury. Poole faces up to 20 years at sentencing in August, and both the lead prosecutor and defense attorney said this is an important verdict, but it would be up to the General Assembly to establish a standard for impaired driving when it comes to marijuana. Yeah, that video.
Let's go to the video.
Yep.
See what the jury saw in an important case last week in Virginia Beach. The jury convicted 26-year-old Nathan Poole of DWI manslaughter in a case involving marijuana, not alcohol.
Because there is no standard for marijuana impairment, the jury members had to rely on body cam and surveillance video to decide whether to convict. Investigative reporter Chris Horn has that video tonight and follows up on the trial he covered beginning to end.
This is the intersection where 3 lives were changed forever. The 2 victims, one of whom was killed, the other permanently injured, and the man who ran over them with his truck. We're going to show you what happened, but we'll stop the video before the point of impact. It was the 4th Monday in August 2022, and until about 4 p.m., it was a happy afternoon for Rosa and Concepcion Blanco. They were celebrating Rosa's recent birthday at Tupelo Honey Restaurant. Nathan Poole had just picked up a dress for his girlfriend at David's Bridal. Check the top of the screen, left of center. The 2 women are on the curb. The first vehicle passes, and the women then start across the crosswalk. Poole's Chevy Silverado pickup is next. He strikes both of them with his grill, running them over completely.
Notify 301.
Rosa is killed instantly. Concepcion had life-threatening injuries and would spend 5 weeks at Centera Norfolk General.
I looked down GPS for half a second.
Poole tells a patrol officer he smokes marijuana. That officer testified during the trial that she has made more than 500 DWI arrests. Poole does well on some field sobriety tests but fails others. 9 steps, heel to toe. The heel must touch the toe behind it in a straight line.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Standing on one leg and counting starts out well for Poole, but then he fails on the counting.
2020, 2021, 2022, 2033, 1034.
At trial, a toxicologist testified that Poole's blood had high levels of THC. That's the psychoactive substance in marijuana. The THC and other compounds would have significant adverse effects on attention, judgment, and reaction time. But that expert doctor could not give an opinion whether she thought Poole was too high to drive. That was up to the jury, and they decided Poole was in fact impaired, convicting him of DWI manslaughter and DWI causing serious permanent injury. Poole faces up to 20 years at sentencing that's scheduled for August. Both his defense attorney and the prosecutor say this is an important case because we don't have a standard for impairment when it comes to marijuana like we do with alcohol. In Virginia Beach Town Center, Chris Horn, 10 on your side.
I'm your retirement fear, but don't be scared. You're still.
All right. This is a sad
commercial
story.
to run right after that.
Oh boy.
This is super sad, man. My question. I mean, was he texting too?
It does. There's no mention.
Like a blind turn.
There's no mention of texting, and this is why you don't discuss your day or admit to things, because he basically said that he had smoked cannabis. You know what I mean? And so he said that he wasn't impaired at the time, but he said that he had smoked, and so and that's how he ultimately got this conviction.
Yeah, this is all kinds of messed up. Jesus, I don't know. If there's any silver linings in this. Dude should have just shut up. He should have shut up.
Know the script.
Yeah, there's all different there's all different kinds of other things that you could talk about, like that were not mentioned. Like, was he on his cell phone? His truck was big as fuck, man. Like people who drive big ass trucks like that, they are a hazard, especially if you're driving in the city, because you can hardly see over that hood. You got 2 little old ladies crossing that crosswalk there. That could have been impairing his sight to actually see them too. But you gotta shut the hell up, man. You get.
Dude, that was so sad. That's like one of the saddest things that I can ever imagine. And yes, like, absolutely, you got to shut the fuck up. We all know that. You can't say, oh, I smoke weed. They're going to absolutely use that against you. If you smoked cannabis and you unfortunately did that. I mean, look, the guy's going to pay for his actions. It's all going to come around to you if you're just like being reckless out there. But still, that guy does. I mean, look, my heart goes out to this guy because I can only imagine he was on his cell phone, he was doing something, and that's just the most unfortunate accident. And like, what a crazy situation. But yes, it is a very important case, because if they use the defense that, hey, he's a cannabis user, he's a patient even, then that puts a lot of other things at risk, I think, too, because if it goes, obviously it's going to go, it went poorly. I mean, any appeal at this point too for this guy is going to probably end with the same conclusion. And it's always going to just be this pejorative thing toward cannabis and driving. And now we're going to have an uphill battle. And also we know that there's specific technology coming out to help, the law enforcement deal with, high driving, as they call it. We'll see how all this goes, but just shut the fuck up if you get pulled over by a cop.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to say, my condolences to the whole family that lost their lives. I mean, that's people's moms and grandmas and aunts and whatnot. And so want to make sure that we are considered I don't think there's any winning side in any of this.
There's no winning side. I don't agree, Saman, that it would have a chilling effect on medical patients, because even medical patients who use other medications, not cannabis, are still required to understand whether they are capable of operating a motor vehicle or heavy machinery while under whatever medication it is. Again, too much agreement kills a good conversation, so I'm always going to try to find the place where we're not aligned. This is terrible, and it's terrible for this family, and it's terrible for the woman who lived, and it's even worse for the woman who didn't. And it's also really sad that we've been trying to crack the codes on the science that would allow for a measurement of the difference between ingestation versus intoxication, the difference between impairment versus exposure, and we still don't have that science. And so I'm feeling kind of playful and fun today. I'm gonna trust that the jury got it right and that there was facts. But until we have those scientific standards, my concern is not just for victims of impaired driving, but also for drivers who don't have clear guidelines about how that can be empirically measured.
Well, at the same time, when we watched the video, I didn't really think that the guy was impaired when he talked,
but he couldn't count, dude. 1,022, 1,033.
Bro, you can't expect anyone to do 1,000. That's the most dumbest shit ever, bro.
I get it. He's nervous. He's nervous. He just watched somebody die.
You're not gonna. You know what I mean? You're shooken up, like your nerves are shot.
Yeah.
All of that, bro. That's not. That's not. Just like asking people to say the alphabet backwards. Like no one can say the alphabet backwards.
We have no idea what kind of education this guy has. So
I can't say the alphabet backwards.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't say the alphabet backwards sober.
But here's an interesting thing. Ben LeBone in the chat, he brings up a very, very interesting fact, and I wonder if his attorneys use this, and I'm sure that they probably didn't, but maybe they could use this on an appeal. But it says, appears his truck goes from sunlight to shade as he conducted his left turn. Plus the ladies were short with a tall truck.
Yeah, that was exactly my point. It was like, there's so many other factors that could have gone into this, but because you opened your mouth and you said like, oh, I was just smoking marijuana, blah, 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 like you killed yourself. You put yourself in jail. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Right. And not only that, you have given the failed policies, the failed cannabis policies that were handed to Glenn Youngkin on a silver platter. You just gave this motherfucker a lifeline that he needed right now, because he can go hard on. This is why we didn't move forward, because of stuff like this.
Yep. Where you got to protect the people from situations like this. You're so right about that part, Rico. That part you are right about. I'm going to roll right into this to this last story now that we had our sad news. And this
let's pick the mood up a little bit.
I have some good news. Good news to end the show with you guys on. 3 conditions for which cannabis appears to help. The utility of cannabinoids to treat most medical conditions remains uncertain at best, but for at least 3 indications, the data lean in favor of effectiveness. Elise Grossman, MD, MPH, told attendees recently at the 2024 American College of Physicians Internal Medicine, those are neuropathic pain, chemotherapy-induced nausea or vomiting, and spasticity in people with multiple sclerosis, said Grossman, an instructor at Harvard Medical School in Boston, Massachusetts, and medical director for primary care behavioral health integration at Cambridge Health Alliance in Somersville, Massachusetts. Research is sorely lacking and of low quality in the field for many reasons, Grossman said, most of which the products tested come from outside the United States and are often a synthetic and taken orally, which does not match the real weed use when patients go to dispensaries for cannabis derived directly from plants or the plant product itself, and studies often rarely rely on self-reporting. Chronic pain is by far the top reason they say they use medical cannabis, Grossman said in a Cochrane review of 16 studies found only that potential benefits of cannabis may outweigh the potential harms for chronic neuropathic pain. Grossman said she is frequently asked if cannabis can help people quit taking opioids, and the answer seems to be a no. A study published earlier this year in states with legalized medical or adult use cannabis found no difference between rates of opioid overdose compared with states with no such laws. It seems like it doesn't do anything to help with our opioid problem, she says, and nor does high quality evidence exist showing use of cannabis can improve sleep, she said. A 2022 systematic review found fewer than half of the studies showed the substance was useful for sleep outcomes. Where studies were positive, it was in people who had chronic pain, Grossman noted. Research indicates cannabis may have substantial benefit for chronic pain compared with placebo. And in some of the potential harms, she notes that if the medical benefits of cannabis are murky, the evidence for its potential harms, at least in the short term, are clearer, according to Grossman. A simplified guideline for prescribing medical cannabis in primary care includes sedation, feeling high, dizziness, speech disorders, muscle twitching, hypertension, and several other conditions among the potential hazards of the drug. But the potential for long-term harm is uncertain. All the evidence comes from people who have been using it for recreational reasons, where there may be co-use of tobacco, self-reported outcomes, and recall bias, she said. The characteristics of people using cannabis recreationally differ from those using it medicinally. And use with other controlled substances, Grossman said clinicians should consider whether the co-use of cannabis and other controlled substances such as benzodiazepines, opioids, or Adderall raises the potential risk associated with those drugs. Ultimately, it comes down to talking to your patient, she said, and if a toxicity screen shows the presence of controlled substances, ask about their experience with the drugs they are using and let them know your main concern is their safety. Grossman also reported no relevant financial conflicts of interest in regards with this report, you guys. I can't wait to hear what y'all have to say about this.
I mean, they're saying that it helps with neuropathic pain and MS, but they're saying that there's no signs that it helps pretty much anything else. It's just a case by case. Like, so, I mean,
I feel like it's a good start because at least they admitted some good things, even though they're trying to rebuke others that most people. So it's like once you start getting those first couple concessions, then you can get into getting more. And most people already know that cannabis helps them with sleep, or most people are helped with cannabis.
I'm glad to see more and more of these studies coming out, chipping away at that glass ceiling, as you're saying, Jason. Yeah, it's I guess we'll take any positive news in the right direction. But here's where I believe we can use the prohibitionists' stance against them too, and to actually get better research on the opioids that they've approved, right? Like, why don't we talk about that? What are the positives that have come from any Alzheimer medicine? None. There's 5 on the market right now, and none of them have any positive results at all. Like, none of them have ever shown to help with anything tied to Alzheimer's, but they are all FDA approved. Like, why can we not get cannabis approved better, right? Or quicker?
Well, we all know the reason for that, Rico.
Money.
Yeah.
Money.
Well, and
That's it.
Alzheimer's too is like, you know, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but I mean, like, obviously there's a correlation with Alzheimer's and, you know, our food supply and how it's changed and how many more, you know, people have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's based on that. And the list goes on. Obviously, natural medicine has gotten shat on by the petroleum industry and the pharmaceutical industry for a long time. Just because they put their products in those products that they feed us. And the mere fact that, you know, our whole entire like nutritional system is just corrupted from the bottom up. It's leading to a kind of resurgence of the natural medicine. But of course, if we just keep going, it's going to also be corrupted yet again. So, you know, natural medicine obviously is a choice. People have to really choose to just live a healthier lifestyle. A lot of things get better when you do, and when you use natural medicines instead of pharmaceutical medicines. Not that I'm saying, you know, to do that or switch your medicines out there. For anybody watching, consult your doctor. But if you have a choice, then you need to probably take that seriously.
You know, what's challenging for me is they said that recreational cannabis didn't have an impact on opioid uses in states as measured by opioid overdoses. And what comes up for me is the way in which data can be skewed based on the parameters that you create. And so I would think that somebody banging that Harvard drum would understand that if you only measure opioid overdoses, you are not getting a complete picture of opioid use in a certain state. You are not counting the number of users. You are not counting the number of people who are abusing it. There are a variety of metrics that could be used to get a more granular understanding about whether state legal recreational cannabis programs do have a positive impact by reducing opioid use in residents of those states and opioid-related health issues. And if all you do is measure overdoses, there is an argument to be made that a small group of opioid users who are addicted are not going to be able to be cured or have that addiction mitigated through cannabis use, and that those opioid deaths are going to remain a static number. And so I'm just a little frustrated that that was the metric that they chose, because I think there could have been an opportunity to create a greater, more detailed level of insight.
Interesting.
I mean, they could have gone with ER visits, the amount of Narcan that's used by emergency medical technicians, the amount of people going into drug diversion for opioids. There's just a million different ways that they could have chosen to do a better job of measuring. And if all they do is deaths, that just seems like a lazy approach.
Exactly. I agree.
Keep these comments coming. Keep these comments coming in on where Yarrow is driving to.
Yeah, exactly. He's just on the road driving up the 101.
Yarrow's got 2 tickets to paradise.
Yeah, Yarrow's looking more in the rearview mirror trying to make sure that the CHP ain't pulling up behind him.
Pulled over.
Yeah.
I am not on the 101. I am on the road to redemption through my participation with IN9 News. I am driving the wine.
He's on the road to perdition.
That's right. I am driving through the wine country, went from Sonoma past Napa on my way up to Browns Valley for a real estate assignment.
A real estate assignment.
Yeah, make sure no left turns.
First grade.
Yeah, no left turns without
first grade for Yarrow.
Stopping first.
He's got an assignment.
I'm going up to a ranch. We're gonna sell a ranch, and so I'm gonna spend my afternoon hanging out with horses.
So do the horses come with a ranch?
I like to say everything is negotiable.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. If you want to buy some horses, Yarrow has somewhere to stable them at, apparently.
Yarrow Kubrin, hanging with the horses.
Yeah.
Horses are cool. They're really cool.
Let's wrap
it up. Basketball stud. On that note,
farm me out. Farm me out.
Let's wrap this circus up.
It's a 4-ring circus.
It is. Definitely
Prince
is.
Albert, you know what I'm talking about. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of High at 9 News. Catch us live weekdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. I'm fucking tripping on my nose right now. Big shout out to the super fans showing love, getting their comments posted live on the big screen. Our live audience and online supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in each day. Hopefully while you're not driving, turn the video off. But tuning in each day to the headlines of chaos known as the cannabis industry, developing cannabis industry. I just can't talk for shit today, so I apologize, y'all.
Right.
To our Reddit correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respective opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, all the sponsors are keeping our lights on, AV struggles to a minimum. And as always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason why we show you what we show you and why we do this damn show and do the damn thing every single morning. And are persistently the headache in Jason's head that always tell him about himself. We are your mirror, Jason.
I'm here for it.
We'll always be your mirror.
I'm here for it. You guys must be looking good today.
Yes. It has been Tuesday, April 30th, 2024, the last day of April. Mercury is no longer in retrograde, so make sure you guys tank up today. The show's over. You've all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. Even though Yarrow's giving me a good run for my money today. Saman Razani, what do you have for us, man? Can you take us out?
3 things. Nobody cares, hash harder, and shut the fuck up. We talked to
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.